Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I think we have to give credit to the Chancellor for a budget that, in terms of political presentation, was very, very clever. I think the SNP have had an absolutely rotten day. I think the decision to put money into potholes was clever. The fuel duty-frees, very, very welcome, especially for those living in rural parts of our country. But for me, the big one, of course, is the 1p a pint off draft beer, which I've worked out will save me over £1 a week, so I'm particularly thrilled with that. But economically, I sat listening to the numbers thinking this budget is illiterate. I don't know who's doing the sums, whether perhaps it's the Right Honourable Member for Hackney North, but the sums do not work. And the markets now agree with me, because just in the last couple of hours, we've seen a very substantial spike in gilt yields. We're not quite yet back to 2022 with that mini budget, but clearly people are saying this isn't going to work. And even more concerning, I suppose, is that the new head of the Office for Value for Money, David Goldstone, has served for many years on the board of HS2, which I would suggest is the very opposite of value for money.
This point of order will be relevant. Can you confirm it's going to be relevant?
I think it is relevant, Madam Deputy Speaker. The honourable gentleman mentioned the member for Hackney North. I just wondered whether he had actually warned her that he was going to be mentioning her in the chamber.
I thank the honourable member for the point of order. However, that is not a point of order. It is a courtesy of the House. Nigel Farage.
Nice try. I was just gently teasing, that was all. Invest, invest, invest is what we heard at the start of this budget speech, and I thought, yes, that's what we need, absolutely. Not just the big multinationals that come to smart conferences, but equally, hundreds of thousands of people putting their own risk capital into start-ups, into new businesses. But no, this invest, invest, invest is going to be done by the Chancellor on our behalf. Not just a top economist at the Bank of England, but she's now going to be the fund manager of the nation, investing money and trying to pick winners. And I would suggest the last time governments attempted back in the 1970s to invest money and pick winners, it ended very badly indeed. I will give way.
I thank the honourable gentleman for giving way, and I just question, when he talks about investment in our country and in businesses, whether he'd prefer to have investment from our government or whether he'd prefer to have investment from maybe the Russian government.
Maybe one or two members of the House ought simply to grow up, but there we are. It's a bit sad. And I've worked in private business myself, and I do wonder, I do think picking winners is wrong. I think we leave this to the free market, and we let people either make money or we let them lose money. And frankly, if they do their dough, well, that's just the way these things work. Any business employing 5 or more people has today been hammered. And I make the point that I've set up companies and run companies. Nobody on the front bench has ever worked in private business. Nobody on the front bench understands what genuine risk capital is. Our business secretary, from what I can make out, has never even had a job. But the most dismal part, no, I've had plenty of jobs. Well, apart from being in the European Parliament, which doesn't really count, obviously. But I got to tell you, what is dismal about this budget is the growth forecast. If the ambition of our Chancellor is that in 4 years' time growth should be 1.5%, that is very, very bad news for everybody, and particularly because it takes no account of the rise in population that will happen through legal immigration. It basically means a rise of zero. And nobody's even mentioned today the fact that gross domestic product per capita, wealth per capita, has been falling consistently nearly every single quarter for the last 2 years. The bigger our population becomes, the poorer we are becoming. And that's a reality we've got to wake up to. But I would say this. The big picture is we're in decline. We're getting poorer. There isn't a £22 billion black hole. That's nonsense. It's 2.7 trillion. Our debt repayments are 90 billion a year. And from all the figures I've seen today, that will be worse in 5 years' time than it is today. We need a complete change of culture. We need to start saying success is a good thing. Making money is a great thing. People becoming rich is something we should encourage. We've got to change our culture of work. The idea that, oh yes, work from home, do a 4-day week, get your work-life balance right. Well, you know what, actually, why don't we say to people, young people, hard work is a good thing. Yeah. Hard work is the only way anybody succeeds individually. And hard work is the only way we're going to have a chance as a country to turn any of this around. We're in much deeper trouble. And much more. Now, you keep on going. Please sit down. Honestly, you've had a go. We are in much deeper trouble than anybody on either front bench dares to admit. It's a reality we should all face. And I have to say that, for a Labour Party that couldn't define what a woman was, couldn't define what a working person was, well, after today, I'm pretty convinced they can't define what economic growth is. Thank you. Yeah.